Alrighty guys, welcome. It is Monday and it is time for a book club video with my friend Charmaine Staycation. We have been doing book club together for about 2 years. I know we started in June. It's June right now. So it has been 2 years of book club. We're talking about May/June's book because our book clubs go for 5 weeks. We always run a little bit into the following month. And for May/June, we read One of Us is Back, which I loved. So obviously there's going to be spoilers in this video. We're going to go through our 12 discussion questions. Of course, Charmaine will be linked in the description box and the title, so you guys can go check her out. But One of Us is Back was the third in a series. So we have come full circle as a book club, and we've read an entire series together because last year we read 1 and 2 back to back. I believe it was like February, March, or January, February. It was right at the beginning of the year of 2023. And I loved it. And then the following book, the third final book, came out in July of 2023. And we didn't suggest it right away. Because I know I didn't get it till Christmas. Not sure when Charmaine got it. But eventually we did not request, so what am I looking for? Suggest it a few times, and it finally won, and I'm very, very happy. So we have 12 questions. We're going to get right into this because these videos do tend to be a little bit longer. Of course, talk about the book with us down in the comments. You can answer these questions directly, or if you just have a comment you want to make, or you want to ask something, or just talk about if you enjoyed the book or not. But I absolutely loved this book. I love this series. One of Us is Lying, which is the first book, and Good Girl's Guide to Murder are like my top 2 favorite thrillers. I think they would technically be YA thrillers. I'd have to look up the exact category, but I think Karen M. McManus is an incredible author. She's the one that wrote One of Us is Back. You don't really see it coming. You can't guess. I've read some thrillers where I can guess, and I never enjoyed them as much because they're kind of predictable. These are very unpredictable in my opinion. Same with Good Girl's Guide to Murder. If I had to pick one, I probably would pick One of Us is Back. One of Us is Next. I like that series. I found it a little more shocking, but I did really enjoy both of them. But anyway, like I said, let's get right into the question. So number 1, Nate's parents struggle with sobriety and regret not being there for him when he needed them. Should Nate fully forgive his parents and embrace their attempts at redemption, or is it wiser for him to remain cautious? I think it's one of those like forgive but never forget situations. I think he can forgive his parents. Everyone makes mistakes, and he has to appreciate that that they're trying. But not forget what he had to do by himself as a young teenager. It was really sad, his story in the first book. He had to basically take care of himself because his father was an alcoholic. Nate was even the one working. He was the one paying the bills. So it's definitely, it's wise to remain cautious, but still try to give them that chance to prove themselves. Let me know how you guys feel about one. I know it definitely can be different if you come from parents or family members that suffer with issues like that, of sobriety, of addiction. All right, that's not something I 100% relate with. I mean, I definitely know some people who have had those struggles, but not someone like super duper closely related to me. Yeah, I'll say I know, like, not to put like business out there, but like I do have family members that drink. And do I think that they drink a little too much? Yes, but they work. They do their normal 9 to 5, whatever hours they work. They pay their bills. I think with Nate's dad situation was very, very different. Anyway, number 2, Vanessa apologizes to Cooper and Addie for her past bullying, showing signs of change. Should the Bayview crew readily accept her into their group, or should they be more skeptical of her intentions? I think this is kind of the same thing. Forgive, but don't forget. I don't know if I would readily accept her. I think she would have to prove herself a little bit more because actions speak louder than words. I appreciate the apology, and I mean in my situation, like even with me, like if someone apologizes to me, I appreciate the apology. I take it in, but they still have to prove that they're actually gonna make the change, or they're actually, whatever, depending on what the apology is about. Because you can apologize till you're blue in the face. If the actions don't match up, then clearly you're not sorry. So I think I would definitely be a little skeptical, but give her a chance, like I said, to prove herself. Kind of the same thing as number 1. Number 3. Jake Riordan's, might be pronouncing that wrong, but that's how I pronounced it the whole time I was reading. Entitlement and use of privilege to escape justice highlight the inequality in the legal system. Is it fair to judge Jake solely based on his family's wealth, or should individuals be held accountable regardless of their background? Yes, 100%. Individuals should be held accountable regardless of their background. That's why there's white privilege, and I'm coming from someone who is white. Joe, I get nervous. Joe is not black, but Joe is brown. He is Mexican. He's Latino. And I worry sometimes. I can't prove that it's because of his skin color, but Joe has been stopped by police officers many, many times in the car and also just walking around. Joe does kind of look like a tough guy. Like, I'll never forget, it was my grandmother's funeral. It was in a black suit, and a family friend came up to me and they were like, wow, that Joe, he looks like a mafia man or something, like he's in the mafia. And it's just that persona he gives. If you guys might not see it on camera because he's talking and he's being funny and he's laughing, but if he's just standing there, he can be a little scary, I'm not gonna lie. But he is like the biggest teddy bear, and that's what I said to these people. So it's 100%, someone needs to be judged on them as an individual and not of the color of their skin or how much money they have in the bank. That's I just get frustrated with that one. I had a feeling I'd be a little long-winded with that one. I don't want to go into a whole tangent, but that's the reason why some people feel the legal system isn't justice, because people that tend to have more money or people that tend to have white skin tend to have better outcomes in court. They tend to have prettier mugshots in the newspapers and things along those lines. So 100,000%, in my opinion, it needs to be based on the individual. Who cares that Jake's rich? Who cares that his parents come from money or come from, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, like prestige. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter who he is, who he comes from. He attempted to kill somebody, and he also helped somebody kill themselves. His actions need to have consequences, and he needs to be held accountable for those actions. So yes, he needs to be judged solely based on him as an individual and not on his family's wealth. Personally, how I feel about that one. Number 4, Phoebe keeps Owen's involvement in Jared's game a secret to protect him. Would honesty have been a better approach, or is it justified for Phoebe to hide the truth to safeguard her brother? I think the fact that you got to remember, he was only 12 years old. I think that plays a big part into it. I am a bigger sister. I have a younger brother. Would I lie for him if he killed somebody? Of course, you guys know that the situation was a little bit different. He didn't directly kill the person. So it's a gray area. Not everything's black and white. And that's why it makes this area hard. Now my brother as a grown man, no, I wouldn't. Like I said, his actions should be held accountable. But him as a 12-year-old, not understanding what he was doing, is a very different situation. So I totally get why she felt she needed to protect him. I would honestly have been a better approach, though. It's possible. Also, because he is 12 years old, the law would have been a little more lenient on him, because they would have known that he can't make it. That's why there's, you're treated differently when you're a certain age, because, you don't have that critical thinking skill. They would have known, like, he didn't know what he was doing, and he wouldn't have done any time or anything like that. But Phoebe's prerogative and why she kept it a secret was because she didn't want her brother to be like the talk of the town or something like that, and everyone would talk about it. And so I get where she was coming from. I understand why she hid it. I don't always think honesty is the best policy, but in this situation, I wonder sometimes, because it ended up coming out anyway in the long run. So sometimes it can be the best approach, but you really don't know when you make that. You just got to make that decision in the moment and hope you made the right decision. So that one's a tough one. Let me know what you guys think about that. Someone is beeping. So annoying. I'm sorry, guys. Number 5. Scott Riordan teaches Jake to value status and privilege. That's the word I was looking for. Status. Leading to destructive behavior. Is Jake's downfall solely his responsibility, or should his parents bear some of the blame for instilling these values? Yes, I do feel like that. 100%. No, like Jake is his own person. He can make his own choices. You know, you can come from alcoholic parents and not be an alcoholic, like Nate. I know people. People all the time. Like it'll be like two siblings, and they came from like an alcoholic father or mother, and usually one is on the straight and narrow, and he did the opposite thing. He said, "Oh, my parents are alcoholics, so XYZ is an alcoholic, so I never touched a sip of liquor." Where the other one's like, "Oh, it was destined. My father's an alcoholic." So that's what I mean. It's your upbringing definitely has a lot to do with it, but at the end of the day, you're your own person. You make your own choices. So I do think they do have some blame, but definitely not full blame, because Jake is his own person, 100,000%. He chose to do that, especially when you get to the end and you find out, again, spoiler alert, but you find out that he killed his real biological father. My jaw dropped, because you think Scott did it, you think the father did it, and they did get into an altercation. He did push him, so everyone thought he did it, and then you find out that he was still breathing, and instead of calling 911 and doing the right thing, Jake covered his mouth. I don't know if it was a pillow or a blanket, something along those lines, and what's that word, asphyxiated, basically, so he stopped breathing, which was insane to me, because he was like really young then. I think they were like, it was their summer before their freshman year of high school, and the father had no idea. Scott had no idea that Jake did that. It just like, it really shocked me, and I don't think Scott would have done that. Like, Scott might not be the greatest guy, but I don't think he's a killer. So I almost wonder if it was almost something inherent inside of Jake. But then also, Scott's the one that raised him, and Scott's not even his biological dad. So that just proves that it's the way you're raised sometimes and not your biology, because he was raised to think he was a Rio Dan, and to think he came from status and privilege, and he took on a lot of his father's tendencies, who he thought was his biological dad, and then you find out he's not even his biological dad. But yeah, no one forced him to do what he did that night. It wasn't like the dad was like, "What are we gonna do?" And then he came up with an idea. He did that 100,000% on his own, independently. So that's why most of the responsibility should be on him. But the parents could play a little bit into it, for sure, with how they raised him. Number 6, Phoebe keeps her brother Owen secret, which eventually isolates her. Do you think keeping painful secrets is ever justified, or is honesty always the best policy, even if it risks hurting others? Which is kind of what I talked about before when I said honesty is the best policy. I said I don't think honesty is always the best policy. Do you think keeping painful secrets is ever justified? Yeah, I do think so. I think sometimes it really can be justified. If it's not going to help the person, and a lot of times people like admit to things and it doesn't even help the other person. It's more to relieve themselves of guilt. So all you're doing is helping yourself, and now you're hurting another person. You know, unless it's something they absolutely need to know, sometimes I think it is better to keep things to yourself. And you might not agree with me, and that's fine. You can let me know in the comments. But I do think sometimes keeping secrets is justified. It was her brother. He was only 12 years old. She was scared what the town was going to think of him. She was scared he was going to get in trouble. You know, I totally get that. Wanting to protect someone you love. I think most parents would do that for their children. You know what I mean? Like, so why wouldn't you do it for your brother? You know what I mean? Especially if you have such a close relationship. They lost their father. You know, that's like, all they have is each other, and I could see why she'd want to help him and keep that secret 100,000%. Number 7, Chelsea's actions are driven by a desire for revenge rather than justice. Do you think revenge is ever justifiable, or does it always lead to more harm than good? I think it usually leads to more harm than good. I understand the allure of revenge. Even I've had my moments. But at the end of the day, what I believe is the universe has my back and karma is real. I believe that if someone is doing bad things are going to happen to them. They're going to come back tenfold. And sometimes in my life, I do get frustrated because I feel like I'm a good person. I do the right things, and yet good stuff doesn't happen to me. And then other moments, I'm like, oh my God, look at all the incredible things you have. Look at how blessed you are. The universe is taking care of you. And I believe that. Karma might take a while, but I do feel like karma eventually will get back to the person. Where sometimes seeking revenge can honestly like not bounce back. What's the word I'm looking for? It can just make matters worse. Like this is just like a total hypothetical situation, but like a good example is someone you don't like is you're gonna slash their tire. You're not a fan of them, and then they have to call somebody for a ride. And then that person, and again, hypothetical, that person who's now giving the person a ride because you slashed their tires gets into an accident on the way to go get them. Like, that's a guilt you're going to live with for the rest of your life. Because they would not have been going to that person's house to get into that accident if you hadn't slashed their tires. That's literally how I think of things. And that might be kind of crazy. Maybe it's the anxiety-induced brain of mine with a touch of ADHD, I don't know. But I always think of like worst case scenario. And that's why even though revenge does have an alluring idea to it, I never fully do it. Because I always think like, oh, XYZ could happen. Or, you never know. And that's why it's like, I tell people all the time, you might hate somebody. Truly hate somebody. They're like the spawn of the devil in your opinion. But at the end of the day, that's still someone's grandson, granddaughter, daughter, son, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, father, mother, brother, sister, like whatever. That person means something to somebody else. And that's why I believe karma does it for us, that we don't need to do it for ourselves. Number 8. Jake is portrayed as a character who never grows or learns from his mistakes. Do you think it is possible for everyone to change and deserve redemption, or are some people beyond saving? Use Jake's story to illustrate your opinion. So Jake is arrested. Obviously, we know this after this first book because he helped Simon with his killing himself and having like 4 or 5 people be what's the word I'm looking for? Like people thought they were the suspect. So it put a lot of people in turmoil and all these things when he knew the truth the whole time. And then when it was about to come out, he attempted to kill one of the main characters. So clearly he's a shitty person. But, and then anyway, so in the 3rd book, you find out that he is about to be released again. They found out that his trial was not a fair trial because somebody on the, what do you call it? Oh my God. The jury duty people. I literally got called for that for August. The jurors, one of them was like leaking information. So because of that, they might have to retrial his case. And then they decide that he is free to go. So he only ends up serving 2 years. But he, during the process of this, he goes on interviews and he's seen like talking and telling people how sorry he is and that, if he could change things, he would and all this stuff. And if he meant it, that's amazing. The problem is he didn't mean it. He was just trying to get out of prison. And then he got out and told Addie he was coming for her because that was the one who he attempted to kill who got him in jail. So he definitely does not deserve redemption. I think there are people out there that do deserve redemption. I know there's a lot of people in prison find God. Do I think some of those are fake? 100%. Do I think some of those are real? 100%. They have a lot of free time on their hands. They a lot of times, I don't know about all the prisons. I think it depends on what type of prison you're in because there's like the high security and all those. But you do have access to computers. You do have access to a library and a lot of books, and you can read and do research and learn a lot of things. And sometimes people do find God, or not even God, but they just find like they finally understand that what they did was wrong because they're sitting in it and they're thinking about it. And prison can definitely change some people. Some people do deserve redemption. But someone like Jake, no. And a good real world example of that I think of is Ted Bundy. I took a class at my college and it was like the study of serial killers. It was such an interesting class. And we learned about Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Tom Gacy. I think it's Tom Gacy. I know there's been some documentaries. I do want to watch them, but I am someone, I have nightmares very easily. So I am like, I gotta watch those like when it's during the day, not at night. And then I'm like, maybe I should watch it when I'm on my summer break. So if I don't sleep, it's okay. Let me know if you think it's worth it. I know they have one on Jeffrey Dahmer and they have one, and it's with Zac Efron, who I love, that plays Ted Bundy. But, and I don't know what is in the documentary exactly. I don't know if, I know parts of it, obviously, but I don't know how much it shows. But when I learned, when I was in my college class, was Ted Bundy actually escaped prison. Clearly, he's a very smart guy. And when he escaped prison, he killed more people. So that's someone, in my opinion, who definitely doesn't deserve redemption. Because here he was, he escaped. He could have gone out scot-free, spent the rest of his life as hidden, obviously, wouldn't be like totally free, but he could have like slid under the radar and did what he had, like whatever he had to do, work under the table and, not pay taxes and, get money that way. He could have done all those things, because there's definitely people who do it and figure it out and never been caught. But he was caught again because he was still killing people. So clearly there is something wrong with him. And I am someone, I always believe in life in prison, not the death penalty. Personally, I think we shouldn't make that choice of when someone dies. I think that's up to God and the universe or whatever you believe in. But in a situation like that, I do believe Ted Bundy deserved the death penalty, because clearly he was smart. He got out of prison once. He could do it again. And he got out and he showed no redemption and killed more people. So do I believe some people can grow and learn? 100%. Do I believe some people never grow and learn and don't deserve redemption, like Jake? 100%. So it's both, really. It depends on the person. Some people can definitely change and others are just psychotic. Number 9. When Patrick loses his keys, Nate immediately fears the worst about his father's sobriety. Should Nate's reaction be considered a lack of trust or a cautious approach due to past experiences? I don't think it's a lack of trust. I think it is a cautious approach. But I do think Nate can be a little hard on his dad. And he sees his dad is trying. I mean, his dad literally is about to give him over $100,000. His dad could have kept all that money to himself. Especially someone who's newly sober. You know how much alcohol and stuff that can buy? That is a temptation for sure. So I do think, I understand Nate being cautious. I think he should be cautious. But at the end of the day, like I said, he needs to let his father prove himself. And I don't understand the whole, like, losing of the key thing. Like, why was that such a big deal? Like, I lose stuff all the time and I'm not a drunk. So just because he lost his keys doesn't mean he's all of a sudden drinking again. So yeah, that's why I feel like Nate can be a little hard on him. But, Nate is also, obviously, he's a fictional character. But he's the one that had to grow up in that experience. I didn't. So, Nate, I can feel however he wants to feel. That's how I feel, truly, because it's, I don't know. I'm not in that person's shoes. I don't know the background. I don't know what he had to live with all those years. But at the end, like, how I think I would react is, it would be a little bit of, like, lack of trust. But at the end of the day, I would still let him prove himself and just try my best to be supportive and be there in the process. Number 10, Reggie's immoral actions contrast with the kind image suggested by the mother's necklace. Does this duality suggest that people can't be categorized simply as good or bad? Can we still hold someone accountable for their actions despite knowing their complexities? So the whole good or bad, 100%. I say all the time, that everything is white and black. There's a lot of gray areas in life. Someone, like I said, can be a completely shitty person to you, but they're a son, they're a mother, they're a father, they're an uncle, aunt, whatever. So they might be completely shitty to you, but they might be the best son in the world to their mother. They might pay all the mother's bills and take care of their mom. Who knows? People are complex, for sure. Relationships vary person to person. It can be so different. I can completely hate somebody and tell you my experience, and you might have all amazing experiences with that person and love that person. And neither of us are wrong. It's just our individual experience. So, let's see. Can we hold someone accountable for their actions? Yes. I think that's the point of, like, why we go to court and why we hear the whole side of the story, because we do have to realize that there are circumstances, and that's why they do first degree murder, second degree murder, third degree murder. I forget which is like which, but one of them is like, I know there's like accidental homicide or something like that, where it's like an accident. And then there's like one of them is like premeditated. And like you literally planned to murder that person. It took like X, Y, and Z for it to happen. That's obviously somebody who should get a lot of time in jail because they physically planned that out. Versus somebody who did it just in the moment. Is it still wrong? Yes, 100,000%. You should never take a life. But in the moment, it's usually like crimes of passion and things like that. And that person didn't really think the whole thing out. So it's like, it was in the moment. So it's not, that person usually doesn't serve as much time versus someone who planned it out, because it's rare it'll happen again usually. It's just that relationship with that person, that toxic moment, what was going on in that moment, that time. So that's why we can hold someone accountable. We just have to look at it from all sides. Just like, if someone who's been abused their whole life kills their abuser, they still killed somebody. But in my opinion, they should do way less time, as long as there's accurate proof and of all those things, because that person abused them their entire life. Or like someone rapes somebody, and after the rape you happen to get a weapon and you kill him, or during the rape. Yeah, you took a life, but this person took your body. That's why there is a lot of complexities. There's a lot of, I hope I'm not demonetized with all the words I just used, but there's a lot of complexities, and that's the reason why we go to court and why we have jurors, because we need to hear every side of the story and know all the evidence before we can make a decision. Number 11, did you miss any points of view in the third book? So this was the question I actually came up with, because in this book, we only had the points of view of Addison, Nate, Simon, which really surprised me because Simon's obviously gone. He died at the beginning of the first book. So the flashbacks, it was really cool. I actually really enjoyed that part of the book. But I'm trying to think. It's Nate, Addie, Simon, I feel like, and Phoebe. There's 4 points of views. So there was some I missed. Like off the top of my head, I feel like, is this all of them? I feel like I'm about to say all the names. But Browning's point of view, Maeve's point of view, and Cowis' point of view. Knox, I'm sorry. Knox's point of view. Those 3 I really miss. Especially Knox. I really like his character. He's just like a stand-up guy. He's so sweet. I would have loved to seen what he was thinking that when he talked to Phoebe about Owen and how she needed to tell the truth. I would have loved to be there when him and Phoebe were cuddling and seeing what he was thinking, because he loves Phoebe so much. Browning, especially because she's the opposite of Nate and she's very logical. I would have loved to see what she was thinking. Maeve, I always really liked Maeve's character because she's a good hacker and she's good with finding evidence and catfishing and things like that of that nature. So that's always an interesting point of view. I think they did a really good job with picking Simon for sure, because that whole flashback element was really cool. Nate was the one that, he was the poor thing in the first one, because of course everyone thought it was him, accused him because of his background, because he was selling drugs, but nobody knew it was because he had to pay the mortgage because his father was a drunk. So it's nice that we got to see his mindset in a better place. His parents are getting clean. He's going to college. He has roommates now. He moved out of that house. He has 2 stable jobs, and he's about to inherit this money. I liked seeing his point of view. I always really, really loved Phoebe's character. I always felt for Phoebe, with her dad's passing, and then her and her sister, who were very close, drifted apart. And then, of course, that whole Owen storyline with the game, Jared's game. I think it was important that we heard Phoebe's point of view. I understand why he picked those 4 points of views. Addie, too, because, her sister's expecting a baby. She had to move back in with her mom. And Addie's character connects to a lot of people because her sister is dating the lawyer who was the Jared case from the second book and all those things. But I think they did a good choice with the 4 points of views they picked. I think I'm glad they only did 4, as much as I missed the other 3. Sometimes it can get really confusing when there's a lot of multiple points of views. But I did miss hearing some of the points of view, some of the voices. That's what I think of. But I did enjoy how it was written and the 4 points of views that the author decided to go with. And then finally, number 12, question Charmaine came up with is, what are your overall thoughts on the book and the series? And I kind of said that in the beginning. I really loved it. I feel like it came full circle. It was, and I love books like that. And I think that's why I really like Good Girl's Guide, because it really comes full circle too. But it's not a whole nother case. It's literally the same case. He's about to be released. Now they're dealing with that. You're dealing with the aftermath of the Jared games and Phoebe and her brother. You're dealing with, what else am I thinking of? And then there is a little bit new of a storyline, because now you find out that Jake's father isn't actually his father. You find out he has a sister and 2 brothers he never knew about. And then Chelsea's character was really cool because she wanted to avenge her father's death. She knew Jake killed her father, and she came back to get him when she found out he was being released from prison. she was doing what she was being vengeful, or what she thought was right, because clearly justice wasn't making it right. She even kept saying, like, Addie, she was like, look what he did, and he's out. He deserves to die. And Addie struggled, because I think in a way she agreed with her, but also, like, she didn't want him to die. She just wanted him to be in prison, and she literally had to watch him die. She watched Chelsea shoot him. It was honestly a really, really good book. The game in it was really good. Like, the first one is very game focused. The second one's very game focused. This one wasn't, which I'm glad. I wouldn't want a whole nother game. It was just a little touches of it, with the billboard, and then them writing, like, practice makes perfect on their arms. It really tied in really well. Like I said, Karen M. McManus, I think, is an incredible author. I have other books by her. I don't think they're series. I think they're just standalone books. I have The Cousins. I have One of Us Can Keep a Secret. I believe that's what it's called. And she has a few. And I definitely will be adding more to my collection from her. I definitely want to read other books with different characters by her. Let me know if that's something that interests you guys. I can definitely suggest it for book club, because we read one book every 5 weeks, as you guys know. First week, we introduce the book that won. Second week, we do the treats, so the things we're going to eat, drink, and use while we read the book. Third one is the suggestions for the following book club. Fourth one is the questions, and the fifth one is what I'm doing right now, and it's the final review wrap-up of the book club questions. So last week was the suggestions. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago was the suggestions. It should already be on my community tab. So get on there and vote, because it will be closing very soon, because we're going to announce, next video will be us announcing the book. So you guys will know what book we are reading for June/July. I did recommend some LGBTQ books since it is June. And I asked you guys for suggestions, and we definitely got some good ones. I know Charmaine had like a whole list she had to send me. I'm filming this a little bit ahead of time, because I already finished the book. Usually I wait till last minute, but it was such a good book. I started it, I think I was done in 3 days. So it's not technically on my community tab when I'm making this video, but by the time you're watching it, it should definitely be on there, and voting will be closing soon. So head over to Charmaine, go watch her video, see what she thinks of the book. I know I can't wait to listen to her review. I always love her reactions. That's it for this video. You guys are seeing on the sun on Monday. Tuesdays and Thursdays are unboxings and hauls. Wednesday is What's Up Wednesday, so it's going to be different every week. Friday is my vlogs that you guys seem to be loving. Saturday is my outfits of the week. I'll show you guys what I wear Monday through Friday as a size 28 plus size teacher. I will say with summer around the corner, it won't be what I wear to work, obviously, but I will show what I'm wearing. I don't go out every day, though, but we'll see. I think I'm going to have a more interesting summer, because I have a friend that started at my school, so now she'll have the same schedule as me. I'm really looking forward to that, because I've always loved having summers off, but I spend a lot of them alone, because Joe works, all my friends work traditional 9 to 5, so I end up being alone a lot. So I'm really excited that she does have a second job, and she is picking up hours there. But I will be able to go out a little bit more this summer than I have past summers, and you guys will see all the outfits I wear, even if it's just a swimsuit. I always hop on, show you guys the details, link everything for you guys. So if any of that interests you, the vlogs, the outfits of the week series, my plus size fashion content, my unboxings, hauls, I get FabFitFun, Goldie Box, Balance Box. I get mystery boxes from time to time. I always get the mystery bundles from FabFitFun. I do mystery bundle battles. So yeah, if any of that sounds good, definitely consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell so you're notified next time I upload. If you like this video, you like me, you like book club, give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the YouTube algorithm. I'll be linking down below our Facebook group and the Fable app. We do use the Fable app for discussion sometimes. It has chat rooms split by chapters. So if something happens in a chapter and you really want to talk about it in that moment and not wait till the 5th week when we do the final review, you're going to hop right over to that chat room on Fable. It's completely free to download. So I'll have all the links down below. And like I said, let me know what you thought of the book. Answer any of these questions if you're interested, or just want to give your overall rating. I rated this a 5 stars. I thought it was incredible. I love this entire series. I'm happy to finally finish out the series. I'm glad we did it together as a book club for sure. And be safe, guys.